Alrighty. I feel significantly refreshed, having gotten some food in me. So, I think... am I still muted on something? Oh, I'm still muted on Discord. I'm muted over there. Let me see what else we had on the docket for next game. I believe we're going to be joined by... It looks like we're going to be playing Neon Struct quite shortly. I believe I'll be joined by Skeleton of Deep Hell. So, since we've already managed to save, maybe we'll go ahead and close this out. Excuse me. See if we can get Neon Struct working. Alright, let's see. So Neon Struct is actually one of the few games of this lineup that I've actually played some of. I've only played a level, but that is still some amount more so than almost every other game, which is quite new to me. So I am curious to get back to that. I have entirely forgotten how to play it, so that's going to take a bit of effort. But let me see if I can find it first. That'd be a good start. All right. There we go. Full screen was causing some audio issues, it sounded like. Make this a little bigger. Oof, I don't know what's happening there. Alright, we'll just leave it at that for now. Let's adjust the audio because it is very loud now. Alright, that's better. I can make this any larger. Oh, it is not happy going up just a little larger. Oof. Very strange. For some reason, the widescreen aspect or resolutions are causing it to lag, but the 4:3 resolutions are fine. Let's see. Oh, that's so weird. Alright, let me see if I can get this to capture. You're not just looking at a blank box. Very strange. Maybe if I turn off aliasing. Not a very demanding game, so I think it's just kind of glitching out a bit with the whatchamacallit, streaming at the same time. It's having some weird technical issues. Maybe if I disabled the preview? Might just have too many windows open, honestly. Just close that, close that. All right. Seems to be Let's see if it'll work once I get out of the menu. Alright, now it's running fine. It's just the main menu for some reason is being weird. Oh, that is very sensitive. Let's turn that down just a bit. So maybe it's just my mouse. Maybe I can turn that down. Yeah, go to the lowest sensitivity on my mouse. Try not to... Now it's like... It's got to be the view. Excuse me, sensitivity. Turn that down to like... really low. That's normal mouse movement. Very fast. Do I have to turn down? That'll be fine. Maybe if I just make the... Let's see if I can make the screen bigger without it deciding to just completely crash on me. Alright, seems to be working. Audio seems to be fine. So this is Neon Struct. It's a kind of Deus Ex like thief style stealth game. Came out a couple years ago. Minor Key Games who did Eldritch, which is kind of a similar look, but that one's more of a... I guess that one's still also kind of like Thief, but more of a dungeon crawler, like procedurally generated style of game. Alright, I gotta look at the controls because I don't remember anything. Crouch is C. Okay. So let's just... Control isn't used for anything. We'll change that to control. That should be fine. Okay, so level shades of gray. Oop. Oh, hold on, I gotta respond to a message. Alright, so it looks like I gotta access a computer and then just get back to the street. So pretty easy operation, theoretically anyway. See if I can remember how to do any of this. I do like these pigeons very much. They kind of look like the birds from Umurangi Generations. I don't know if it's just there's only so many ways you can do a low poly pigeon. So this is very much a like classic stealth game. So lots of like avoiding vision cones, paying attention to that bar at the bottom of the screen, which is like my visibility meter. I know there's also sound alertness, but I don't know if that's visualized anywhere or not. And you have a couple gadgets, but I don't remember how to use them, so they don't do me all that much good. Maybe if I click in a health stem, geocache, token. That's all I got, that's no good. So one of the interesting ways about this is, like a lot of the old stealth games, it's very much designed to kind of have you approach a situation without much guidance. Like there's multiple ways into most buildings. Even if like the objective is the same, you have a few ways you can achieve that, which I find really appealing. I know stealth games are kind of hit or miss with people, but I've come to really like them, which is funny because I never played any of those original, like, I guess, canon games, like the ones I mentioned, like Deus Ex or Thief, or I guess I played Metal Gear, which is pretty foundational, and I used to be very big into the Splinter Cell games, which also foundational to a certain degree, but also just kind of building on some existing trends. There's been a lot of really interesting indie stealth games that I really enjoy. This one for one. It's also a game called The Marvelous Mistake, which is very good, very quick and kind of level oriented versus thing like this, which is more, I guess, expansive. Okay, so I was spotted briefly, but it doesn't look like they actually saw me, so I should be okay as long as they can't get up here. I believe this is also set in the 70s. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I know there's a date somewhere and it's like a specific time frame. Even though I don't think any of the actual like countries or anything in the game are real. But stuff like this architecture is, or this furniture is extremely 70s. Kind of Bauhaus furniture. Obviously the very it's honestly very interesting as a way to like, oh, that's not gonna work. As a way to kind of account for the blocky geometry of the level by having it be historically accurate architecture to varying degrees. Like these sorts of like brutalist, very rigid, blocky buildings are very iconic from this time, obviously. Which is actually something that's only occurring to me now, but is a fun bit of kind of, I guess, form building off of function or like narrative in ways that aren't commented upon, but just kind of make sense. I think I got to get around this dude. I don't remember if there's any way to actually knock people out. I don't believe so. But I might be able to. Now, you know what? I need to wait and get around that corner, and then maybe I can go up the side. I also need to get used to actually how sensitive these guards are, because I believe they're pretty. You can pretty much be almost right next to them, and if you're in the dark, they shouldn't be able to see you. Yeah, see, like that. Okay, maybe actually a better way would be to go from under here across while they're walking away. Come on, Alright, what did I find? Geocache. Not particularly useful. Jeez, I'm like right out in the open. Maybe I can hide behind this. I think I might have screwed myself. gonna hide behind this table and hope they can't see. Oh wait, actually, I think... Hold on, there's a button to throw something. I don't remember what that is. Maybe it's an item I have to equip? There we go. Did they not notice? Oh, this... Oh yeah, I forgot to... Hold on, let me update the stream. This is Neon Struck. Also, hello, Callie. Welcome to the stream. Glad you were able to get off of work. Working on a Saturday is should not be allowed. Ah, shoot, this is not going to end out well for me. No, other way. There we go. Forgot about that button. Stairs. Now it's working out. That was close. Don't know if they're gonna notice me when I'm hacking. Oh, I forgot. It's like a breakout game on like like an iPod iPod brick. How you hack. They're very determined pigeons. That sounds good. I just had dinner and I feel much better. I'm actually accommodating breaks this time, which I don't think I did very well the last couple streams, and was very much to my detriment. Beans. What did they just do? Alright, I gotta get out of this. Gonna hide behind the door, maybe. Come on. Yeah, food graded is very important. Maybe I can just... Oh, there's a camera. Of course they saw me. Did not see that camera. Good on me for looking out for very obvious obvious ways to be spotted. Let me respond to these messages real quick. Oh, hello, Skeleton. I just saw you popped in.
Hello, it's me, deephell.com.
How's it going?
Oh, it's going great.
Yeah, I feel that.
Give me, oh god. Gotta navigate over to Twitch, do all that, and I gotta jump through some hoops, and I gotta open Twitch, haven't opened Twitch in like months.
Yeah, every single time I try and log in, it's a whole ordeal. I
You
don't
gotta
use. I don't use.
validate your code with twitch.com, and then you gotta get on your phone and you gotta validate it again, and then you gotta keep validating it every time you want to use Twitch. A lot of fun.
It my a personal pet peeve of mine is just any website that refuses to use non-email based or phone based two-factor authentication. Like, I should not have to. Just let me use my code generator like a normal website.
Not only that, but like I just tried to go. Now I don't even know how I will use Twitch because like the desktop app I was using no longer exists apparently.
Oh, great.
So I'm gonna have to like navigate to the internet and find a separate app now. I guess. Cool. Great.
I love
Every
Amazon.
every app is in a desperate race, an entropic race to be the worst possible version of whatever service they're offering.
Yeah, it's like Twitter killing all of its third-party apps.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know I'm not supposed to for music reasons, but I use Spotify all the goddamn time, and every time I open it, I remember, oh yeah, this is the worst app in the world. Sometimes it just won't work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the as soon as they, I mean, on top of everything else, one of the biggest reasons that I just decided no more Spotify was when they insisted that every time I try to play an album, I have to play it on shuffle. Was just
I mean, my thing with it is like sometimes, especially for me, it's like a very mobile way to have music. I don't know why I don't
mm-hmm,
just use Bandcamp or something, but it'll just like not play albums sometimes, like
mm-hmm.
at all. Like it'll just not let you play something from an album. There's no way to. There's also no way to look and see what you've downloaded.
Did they take that feature out as well? They're
Well, you
used.
have to go into your settings and then turn your data off in the Twitch app
Oh, on Twitch.
or in the Spotify app
Okay.
to see what albums you have that are downloaded.
Hmm.
So,
That's
like, if
annoying.
you are somewhere without phone service, and you want to listen to your downloaded albums, it won't let you actually pick them out of a list. It won't even tell you which albums are downloaded. You have to go turn your data off in the Spotify app, and then it'll show you which albums you've downloaded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they used to have just a little toggle that you could turn on and just be like, all right, I just want to see my downloads. But I guess they removed that. Is great.
I mean, it's just these apps are always like they're trying to make sure you use the app the way they want you to use the app,
Right.
which is generally, I feel like only through the algorithm. Uh, do not download things. Do not look for new music.
Mm-hmm. Exclusively listen to playlists. Like,
Exclusively listen to playlists. Yeah.
yeah, it's a mess. And none of the other apps are any good either because I've tried them out in the hopes that one of them might have just a decent user experience, which by mostly I mean I just want something that just shows me the albums I have and lets me listen to them,
Uh-huh.
which seems like a pretty basic ask, but nope, just doesn't seem to exist. It's all algorithms and playlists all the way down. In any case, yeah, Twitch is definitely high up there on my list of things that I just don't fuck with most of the time because I can't be bothered to deal with trying to figure out how they've changed it.
There was a point in time where I wanted to like stream things, but my
Mm-hmm.
schedule is so irregular and I'm already so busy.
Yeah, for sure. I used to stream pretty regularly when I was just like doing nothing and just chilling around my house most of the time. Uh, yeah, and I don't know how people otherwise find time to stream. Like, I know people that have like full-time jobs and also stream the equivalent of a full-time job, and I just don't. I don't
I
know
mean, I
how.
can't do that just because like there's stuff I like to do with my time. I like to read. I like to make things. I like to fucking write shit that doesn't get used or posted anyway.
I just feel like my body would shut down. Like that's just too much work. But I don't know.
But now I've finally managed to navigate to the actual Twitch.com website, nicktoons.com/Twitch. So here I am posting
Welcome.
it on Twitter, and I've already broken kayfabe. I didn't do a deep hell voice. I didn't do a proper introduction. I didn't do any marketing or advertising or anything like that.
You can still wish me a happy Christmas at the end if that's any consolation.
Good, 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 good.
I also needed to. I forgot to put out a tweet as well that we're playing this game. I'm gonna do that right now, real quick, or maybe just I'll retweet your tweet.
Twitch? What the fuck? Uh, I just tried to type something in the chat, and then in the app that I'm logged on to, it just asked me to get on my authorization app and punch in the code.
They just really want to make sure it's you.
I mean, deephell.com is technically like 4 or 5 people at this point. It's just I'm the only one who does the posting.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I think about posting something on Twitter like, hey, if you can figure out which articles actually weren't written by deephell.com, I'll give you a bath bomb or something.
I feel like I'd probably be able to get that to figure that one out and get that bath bomb. Is it Deep Hell branded bath bomb? Just
I mean,
like a soapy skeleton that'll
it's like
dissolve.
there's like a soapy skeleton, and then like on the inside, or like it'll just be like you'll open it, you'll like throw it in your bath, and like it'll be something gross, like it'll just be like a weeping pustule like in your bathtub.
Yeah, it just looks like the slime from the logo.
Yeah, whatever I could get to put in a bath bomb that looked like an enemy from the original Splatterhouse on the Turbo Graphics.
Mm-hmm. They'll figure it out. Science can figure it out.
Science can figure it out. It looks like it looks like you're playing Neon Struct right now.
I am playing Neon Struct. I'm playing it pretty poorly apparently. Or maybe not. They just turned my objective off. Uh, I'm playing it very slowly. Is better say it. Have you played this much or at all?
I played about whatever I'm going to vaguely say is half of the game. I think I did the first handful of missions, and then I just abruptly stopped. I mean, the original plan for me coming on, especially the reason I picked Neon Struck, is I was going to come in here and maybe lean really close to the microphone and go, I'm not here to talk about my website, I'm here to tell a story about simulation games. But I don't think the story is particularly interesting. It's just that I continue playing these games, but I don't really like them.
Hmm. Ah, fuck. I'm getting poked. Um. I was stopped. I don't know how I feel about these games now because I feel like I like them, but anytime I actually play one for any long period of time, I do kind of come away with the feeling that there's a lot of things that I find just kind of tired about them. I felt that with Prey, the arcade one, which is probably the last one of these that I actually played any amount of significant amount of time to and finished. And there's some things I like about that game, but in general, I felt like, all right, this feels very familiar, and it's just kind of, I don't know, maybe I've just played enough of these that I have seen the sort of tricks that they like to employ. But
once you've kind of played like a Deus Ex or something like that, I feel like, especially if you're older, you've been around for a while, so to speak, you've been around the block, these types of video games have a very quick ramp up to the moment where you go, yeah, I get it.
mm-hmm. Yeah, they're all still just trying to remake either Deus Ex or Thief, and just doing it in very, oh fuck, varying levels of fidelity, but functionally
Well,
all the goals of it feel very
I
similar.
feel like, I mean, I've been doing these tirades lately. It feel I need to stop saying feels, I need to stop saying think. But what I've been mostly ruminating in my head about these games is that, like, the palette of verbs is based on however many like spy powers or assassin powers or nanotechnologies or whatever you get, but essentially all of these games are about being either a spy or an assassin.
Mm-hmm.
The immersive simulator genre is about either going somewhere and stealing something or sneaking somewhere and killing someone. Sometimes they're about both, and I feel like when they're about both, that's when you really get like the diverse peanut butter and jelly sandwich with some almonds in there, two different types of jelly, all of these different things working together. But the generally they are puzzle performance games. I don't know. There's just something about them that, like, once I've played so many of them, I know what I'm going to expect. I'm going to hide in some corners. I'm going to pick some locks. But it's always going to be presented in, like, that's the core aspect of things. Whereas when you have something like Dishonored, it has a little more fun with the game, with like the immersive sim thing, because you
Mm-hmm.
have all of these goofy powers you can use to totally break the physics and the reality of how of the situations these games are built around.
Right. Yeah, with Dishonored, I Dishonored is always a weird one for me. Maybe this is different about Dishonored 2 or about any of the expansions because I haven't played those. But I remember feeling that Dishonored 1 had a lot of interesting things you could do, but didn't encourage me to do them because of how it had like structured its very goofy like morality system to where I just felt
Oh
like,
yeah, like it gives you all these powers that are make you feel like a total badass for killing people, and then slaps you on the wrist every time you do, and say for plot reasons that we've completely made up, we can't let you kill these people, or so you
mm-hmm,
can get the big boss rank or something else. Whereas those feels like in a video game, I want that to be background material.
right,
I still want to feel like I'm having fun when I play a Metal Gear game without having to intentionally structure the very first playthrough of it or when I'm just dicking around to get a big boss rating. The first Dishonored, it was structured in a way that it wanted you to play the best, most, I don't know, moral path through the story with a little bit of stretch room in there. The first way so you could see things how the developers wanted it represented, maybe, even though it was an immersive sim. It never felt like you were supposed to be killing people or getting the story beats when you kill lots of people when you play the game that way.
mm-hmm,
At every instance, it feels like the developers were reaching out and saying, cool, but you're really not supposed to be doing this way. Here's a second chance.
Right. Yeah, I'm really curious if I haven't played any of the Hitman games, but it strikes me that maybe they are some of what I enjoy about these styles of games without kind of some of the like in a different sort of format than often these are structured in, because those seem very much like a put you in a place and give you a lot of ways to do something in kind of goofy, silly ways, which is still about obviously assassinating people, but I feel like the way it's framed is less like here are your good decisions and your bad decisions, and you can make your own choices. It's less of the like Bioshock paradigm.
Well, it's so interesting because the immersive simulator thing to me feels like, sorry, there's me burping in the microphone, delicious, feels like the developer, like a developer, a writer, whoever, the crux of the genre feels like making like the moral choices, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, metatextual instead of textual. We're using a lot of big words here to essentially say that they take the social dynamic that should be in these games and make them about choosing which way you want to shoot a specific person or unlock a specific door.
Right.
It has always been very strange to me there hasn't been an immersive simulator that leans more into the more social aspects of the first Deus Ex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is. Yeah, that is kind of striking. The first one, I haven't played it, but I've seen a fair amount of it, and it seems much more of a traditional RPG with like dialogue trees and stuff than most of what would follow kind of in that framework.
So many immersive scenes are written in the language of spy movies.
Mm-hmm.
To me, old spy TV shows and stuff too. You have the rogue agent infiltrating a place by themselves and they have to be crafty and personable and throw a plan together at the last minute and think on their feet, because those are all very fun game design things. But they don't ever lean into the like more verbal social aspects of a good spy movie.
Right.
Everyone's favorite scene in a Mission Impossible movie is when Ethan Hunt throws the mask on and has to pretend to be somebody else. You get a little bit of that sometimes in something like Deus Ex or Metal Gear Solid, and even the newer Human Revolutions had a lot of that, which I really enjoyed that Human Revolution and Mankind Divided leaned into that.
Mm-hmm.
I want one where, I don't know, maybe the option is sneaking into a place or literally completely just talking through the entire situation.
Yeah. Did you ever play that game? What was it called? I want to say it was like Velvet Sunset or something ridiculous like that. But it was set on a cruise ship, and I guess it was kind of like a hidden role game, but it was all text-based interactions with people. And it was basically just all talking based, and you had to kind of discern information from different people, and it was all like real players, so it was a bit different, but it very much felt like a hitman sort of put on a disguise and talk and walk around and try and bamboozle people to do whatever your actual mission is. But it was entirely socially based because it was all just like, can I conventionally get this person to tell me the passcode to the vault for some reason?
Yeah, well, Vodsel just said, in the chat about the Mask Party and Dishonored, and it's like
Right.
that's such a good part of that game. If you, it sounded like earlier you'd bounced off of the first game a little bit, but if you get to that point, the way the level is built is you start out in stealth action game mode, and what you're trying to do is set up a good scenario for you to get into the masked party.
Yeah.
And then that helps shape some of the social engagements you'll have with people in that party. And I want a whole video game like that, and I understand the difficulties there. But it's something it seems like immersive simulators are leaning more away from that and leading more into nitty-gritty, how many different systems can we have for stacking two AC coolers on top of each other and lock picking a window.
Yeah. It's all like architecture driven rather than like interaction driven or like social interaction specifically.
Maybe I
Yeah,
just need to go.
I'm sorry.
I was gonna say maybe I just need to go play some like muds or something.
Yeah, I don't know enough about them to know if that would satisfy the same itch.
Oh, it absolutely wouldn't. It happened, but muds happen to be hidden, arcane, deep-held knowledge. I can't reveal too much of that on one stream, or I won't have anything to talk about for the rest of my life.
And we'll save that for the next. We'll save that for the 48-hour stream.
Oh yeah, yeah.
As I
You're gonna
just,
stay up the whole time when you do one of those, right?
oh yeah, of course. I'm just gonna disintegrate into ash live on camera.
I've always known I could not be the kind of person who would do one of those unless the stream turned in like the last 6 hours were just me dead-eyed looking into the camera and saying nothing.
It's a very very postmodern kind of art project. But yeah, no, these are always an adventure. They're probably not good for me. I'm probably losing years of my life, just kind of destroying my body for a charity stream. But here I am, so you know.
That's worth destroying your body for a little bit, maybe.
I mean, it's no better or worse than in the other ways. I'm already destroying my body every day, so. Also, hi Shane, and welcome back.
Hello, I am back.
Return of the Shane. Return of the Shane. Welcome back, Shane.
Oh yeah.
Gotta get a little party of who's who in independent game journalism going on in here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think Kylie's gonna hop on some point later on, so let's get a whole game together.
I believe they are waiting for McNuggies, as the Twitter post said.
Okay. I've not been on Twitter, but that sounds right.
I was going to stay on for a while, but as it is my partner is coming over, and they're very great, and I would like to spend time with them. So we will probably jump off at some point whenever they get here. But I want to come and talk about video games and Palestine, stuff like that, while I have the time.
It's totally fair.
Yeah, for sure. I'll hop off whenever you need to, but yeah, I'm not parsing any of this story. I'm like looking at the words, and it's all kind of sliding off of my brain.
Neon Struct is a story of government and corporate espionage, where your handlers are potentially trying to jumpstart some kind of war or something. I never got to the end. I can imagine that they use you as a patsy or something as things go in these like global conspiracy theory stories. I think that is a very interesting backdrop for an immersive simulator game if it's going to be about a spy of some kind. But when I played it, I had the exact same problem. Everything just kind of sloped off of my brain as if it were completely smooth.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just the presentation feels really disconnected to me from the like I enjoy these neon avatars, but it all feels kind of distant.
Doesn't get sticky enough. I would have preferred if they were going with that angle on the story, like just drop the neon avatars, let me talk to a faceless creepy polygon man.
Right.
Who in the story is going to reveal himself to be like a faceless, creepy corporate overlord.
I really liked the way that Gunpoint did it, which was all just like emails and text messages, and you could kind of be varying levels of difficult with the people talking to you. And you would get like contradicting emails from different people before you go onto your mission, and then could kind of decide whose objectives you wanted to follow. I don't remember if that had any branching, but I remember there being like conflicting clients that were like, you can't listen to what this other person says. Oh, this looks good.
I don't want to go off on a tangent here, but this, I mean, only an insane person would do this, but I feel like a good touch in this game would have been to steal a little bit from Sam Lake, and every time you were talking to somebody, it should have been like a full motion video of like one of the developer's friends reading the dialogue.
Honestly, that sounds incredible, and I fully support more full motion videos, or even if it was like a. Oh, I guess I'm in jail now. Good on me for reading the dialogue. Even if it was like a Alan Wake Quantum Break style, like there's a TV in the room and you're just watching it. I would be on board with that.
I mean, that would be great, though. Could you imagine in one of these, like, very lo-fi immersive sim games is every time you talk to one of the, like, polygon people, you got, like, a pop-up video of two actors in, like, suits on a green screen or in some dimly lit room just reading the dialogue to each other.
Mm-hmm. No, that sounds delightful. Yeah, I really like this low poly look, but I love anytime this sort of style is kind of perverted with something that clearly doesn't make any sense or look right in it. I know there's been some itch games I played that just kind of fuck around with the textures and the world and just insert like actual photographs and stuff into it, and it looks weird as hell, but it's just a really cool tone that it gives to everything. We're in Philadelphia, I guess.
A little further than this is where I bounced off of the game. I enjoyed it, but for the same reason you do, I hit the point where they were like, "You're going to jail," and then I was like, "I don't know why I'm going to jail," and then I was in jail, and I think I played this mission, and then I kind of shrugged my shoulders and gave up.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I feel the same way about this developer's prior game, Eldritch, which was less of a explicit like immersive sim than this, and was more just like a kind of hybrid immersive sim roguelike dungeon crawler thing. And I felt like it had a lot of cool ideas, and I really liked the look of it, and I played a good amount of it, not really getting anywhere because it was very hard. And then just kind of forgot about it and never touched it again. I look at it sometimes in my Steam library. I'm like, huh, that game. I remember thinking that game seemed cool. Maybe I should play that again. There's almost zero chance I'm ever going to touch it again.
Well, Eldritch for me was also a hard bounce off. Almost in the very first opening chapter, I just didn't really stick with it. I tried it a few times. And God, I hope the developer of it is not in this chat, because here I am about to get real. I feel like many of these low poly immersive sim, lo-fi games, whatever you want to call them, are almost too smooth in that they are very well planned and very well thought out with their small pool of mechanics. They do not kind of have the jank that something like Deus Ex had, where there are ways of unintentionally breaking the game you learn that almost become as important as the central mechanics. There's nothing weird enough in there, which I think is why everybody probably loves something like Cruelty Squad, where it just is, I assume, throwing everything that the developers thought was cool or fun or weird or gross at the screen,
right?
Hoping some of it sticks. Whereas these all feel very, the first rule you learn about game design is have a design document kind of thing.
Right. Yeah,
I think it's still. Are you good?
Oh, I was gonna say it's like the approach of where someone looked at Deus Ex and studied like all of their how does this go together what are the ideas that we're trying to convey, but maybe didn't actually like play it and understand how the pieces fit together. I'm sure that they played it, but did not take the same lessons away.
I wanna my afflicted brain is like trying to split this off into a conversation about what makes an X-Men game fun and why there haven't been any. But like a good example would be to take a game like this, and if you're familiar with the X-Men at all, make Kitty Pryde the protagonist, because then the central mechanic is being able to walk through walls.
Right.
And I feel like you could make a very interesting immersive sim about that.
Yeah, I feel like a game that actually, like, so much about immersive sims is just understanding how do I get through this door or over this wall, and removing that kind of obstacle entirely is like, I feel like that would almost break some of these designers like whole like model of how these games work, because it's removing like the central way that they're all designed the same of like.
Well, exactly. You'd still be a fleshy person when you got on the other side of the wall, though, who could die in a single hit.
Right.
So you turn the question of how am I going to get through this door into maybe what am I prepared to deal with on the other side of this door?
Mm-hmm. No, that sounds really interesting.
I would like to see that game.
Hello, and welcome to the stream. Did you get your
Hello.
chicken nuggets?
I have gotten and eaten the chicken nuggets. It has happened. The food has been eaten, so we're all good.
Your complimentary critical Big Nugs.
Exactly.
I'm very happy for you.
Working, like you said, working on a Saturday is not fun. It should be illegal.
Yeah, no, fuck that.
Yeah.
And this has been my life since 2019, so yeah.
Oof.
Well,
But do you want to play a Kitty Pryde game where you can walk through walls?
Yes.
Okay. As long as we're keeping that out there.
100%. I would love to see that game. That, like, what you were describing just sounds so much like so much fun. You could even kind of put a little bit of a, well, roguelite spin on it, or have like procedurally generated areas on the other side of, locked doors you can't see through. And it would add a little bit of that kind of zest that you're talking about, of like what's going to happen on the other side of the door.
mm-hmm.
It's the kind of idea you can only come up with when you've spent too much of your life reading bad comic books. Well, not bad comic books. I don't want to talk shit. I don't think I could ever talk shit about Chris Claremont, but just comic books in general.
I mean, it's funny you say that, because I feel like people actually designing a lot of these games have probably read too many comics. I don't know.
I don't know if I forget actually. Hold on. I have to look up a game developer who was one of those developers in like the mid 2000s who was constantly in gaming magazines but never really made anything that was actually good in any way, shape, or form.
Uh-huh.
I feel like we were talking about those people
That doesn't
earlier.
narrow it down.
Yeah.
Okay. The developer is Silicon Knights.
Okay.
I think that's like the definition of those developers is Silicon Knights after that game where there are spooky things that happen to you that I definitely played. But
Mhm.
they made an X-Men game on the, I think, PlayStation 3. And I remember still an interview with them where they were like, every person who thinks about the X-Men was really just always, the playground conversation was always, what would your mutant superpower be? And they critically misunderstood what everybody loves about the X-Men, which is whether or not any of these mutants fuck. But also, when you take a property like that, it's the same. They had the problem of they read a lot of comic books. They wanted to make their own X-Men because they would probably rather be writing comic books than making video games. Instead of looking at the X-Men, what was interesting about them, and making a game about that. So when game developers read comic books, I have long felt that is always a difficult thing for them to deal with. They love superhero comics, they read a lot of superhero comics maybe, and then when they make a game about them, they try to make what they imagine comic books are like instead of trying to turn thing into a video game. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
where it's like they're trying to get the feel of a comic book world down rather than make a game about a particular comic.
Yeah, because ultimately, nobody really gives a shit about what mutant superpower they'd have outside of a playground conversation. So when Silicon Knights made a game about making your own member of the X-Men, it wasn't any fun, and there was nothing to the story, because actually the fun part of the X-Men story is like, I don't know, are Wolverine, Cyclops, and Jean Grey gonna have a three-way? Like, are the emotional drama between these characters and these relationships and everything, that's what's central to those comic books, because it's very high stakes emotional drama with, like, I guess you could say the survival of a species on the line, but also between people who can fucking hurl lightning at each other. What I'm saying is the best X-Men game would be a dating sim.
I feel like that's true of most games. Like I was playing a interactive fiction game that was very similar to like a Mass Effect or Star Trek or something. But it was really all about just interpersonal drama and how everybody was very horny for each other but couldn't do anything because they were coworkers and ship hierarchies and all that bullshit. And it was great, and it made me realize all of the things that I don't care about in Mass Effect, which are all the parts that I'm not flirting with people, which is most of Mass Effect.
That's also because the emotional drama in Mass Effect never spills over into the actual gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
There is never a combat encounter where you take two party members that you've been flirting with who find out about it, who then refuse to cooperate while you're on a mission. That would probably be very difficult to do and kind of emergent, but that is, again, that's the appeal of some of the more like lower decks Star Trek episodes, is seeing these characters in conflict and how that affects them when they're out doing science fiction stuff.
So,
Right.
I mean, to that end, I mean, to kind of answer that criticism of the reason, like, the emotional stuff in Mass Effect never really matches with the gameplay, like, couldn't the argument be, well, they're all fine with polyamory?
But that's not really supported by the text at all, because you can only sleep
Right.
with one person through the entire trilogy, basically.
No, that is super fair.
And you also
Like-
you're basically married to them after you have sex. Like that's just there's no
That's-
deviating from
that's how
there.
sex works.
And there's still lots of emotional drama to mine in a polyamorous relationship for a fiction writer.
Probably
I mean-
more drama in some ways.
Well, right,
You've been sleeping with Garrus and Tali, and why have you been taking only Garrus on missions? That should come up in a combat encounter sometime, because I feel like with how much emotional stakes in those games they were going for, that is something they were grasping at, but it was never realized in any meaningful way. Because That sounds like it would instantly make all of the emotional backdrop of Mass Effect very compelling for somebody playing those games.
No, I
sounds
think
like
I agree.
sounds
I
like we
also
need a immersive sim romance game.
It sounds like we need one. Honestly, well, just that seems like, I mean, if you combined a tense conversation where you're trying to pick dialogue options with maybe some kind of tense shootout, that sounds like good video games to me.
Yeah,
I mean, I'd play that game. I'd fucking play that game in a heartbeat.
I'd play that.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of highlights the weakness of a lot of the more BioWare-esque games to me, where you have infinite time to make your dialogue choices. You have infinite time to like process it, think, am I really a paragon or a renegade in this situation, instead of someone is shooting me and I need to placate one of my partners.
Whomst Among
Like,
Us hasn't
Relationship therapy under pressure.
Then it'd be a puzzle game, and then you'd have infinite time
Oh
to
my
figure
God.
out how to piece things together and manipulate everyone or something.
Just the hacking from System Shock, but it's a relationship. Terrible.
Thought that dog was in the game for a second.
I don't think there are any dogs in Neon Struct. I think this is a completely dogless game.
See, there's where they fucked up. There
Those
were
dogs to pet.
no. We were playing Iconfell before this, and to save your game in Iconfell, you have to pet a cat, and the cat meows and makes you feel good, and that's how you get your health back. And I feel like that's just kind of a standard more games should live up to. I am very interested in Alpha Protocol because it does sound like it hits on more of what I like about these styles of games, and kind of what we've been talking about. But also, it's married to a third-person shooter that is very janky, like all these games. But I am curious about it.
The great thing about Alpha Protocol is there's a very easy way that you can cheat every combat encounter. And that is because the most accurate weapon in the game is pistols, and they do 100% headshot damage, and Alpha Protocol doesn't try and simulate physics at all, so you can ping somebody in the forehead with a pistol round from 500 to 600 to like a billion feet and kill them instantly. Played a lot of Alpha Protocol.
So
If you haven't played it, you should. I highly recommend playing Alpha Protocol.
I have not played it.
what was the beef with it that when it came out? Like, what did people not like about it at the time?
Glitches, bugs, and production values.
Gotcha.
It's the Obsidian standard. It's Obsidian, right? I didn't make that up, did I?
Yeah, not Obsidian. Maybe it
Was
was
it?
Obsidian.
Wasn't it BioWare or was it Obsidian?
No, I thought it was the New Vegas dev, and that's
No, it was Obsidian, published by Sega.
right.
Ooh.
Okay, yeah, I felt like that was right, because I remember it just being kind of like in the long history of Obsidian games that came out and were kind of busted on release, but doing interesting things compared to their more put together peers.
Alpha Protocol is just so. I think the only word that really fits it on the role-playing game aspect is robust, because you really can play from a completely bumbling Inspector Clouseau to Sterling Archer to James Bond to some kind of horrifying mix of all three, and the game will keep beat for beat with you the entire time.
does seem like a very hard thing to put together. I wouldn't know how to put something like that together. Okay, angry old woman.
See, now that's an idea right there. Is sometime a charity stream, but it's just a bunch of people on a Gmod RP map.
That would make a good stream.
I just need to... They need to create a... Like, this person does not exist, but it's just for NPCs, and they just sort of iteratively interact with each other. They just do the stream for me.
That'd be an idea.
Have you seen if you use Facebook, have you seen the page Bots of New York?
I have not. I'm not on Facebook, but sounds...
It is it's a bot, supposedly, some of the bot pages are fake, that generates from like a stock database of photos, pictures of people on the street in New York. But it's usually like horrifying face alignment monsters with procedurally generated like texts pulled from all of the Humans of New York pages. And it has, since you're playing Neon Struct, some of the legitimately best cyberpunk writing I've ever read.
I'm gonna have to try and check that out. Facebook loves to not let me look at anything if I'm not logged in.
I wonder if there's a website.
Well, I love this already. Ooh.
Did you all see those images from The Bachelorette that were on Twitter recently, which is the saddest fun facts anyone has ever seen? Somebody took those and remarked that they looked a lot like they were just randomly generated, like not real people, and made versions of them with this person does not exist, and I forget what the text generator was, but honestly, if you put them side by side, I would not be able to tell you which were the real people and which were the fake ones. I'm not convinced the people on The Bachelorette are real people. If you haven't seen these sad fun facts, I would recommend giving them a look.
I want to see the fake ones.
They're mixed in there somewhere. Can usually tell because most of their faces are half off.
The reality TV shows, and like romantic reality TV shows in particular.
Oh, thank you for the donation, Callie.
Yes, indeed.
Oh yeah.
I keep paying for stuff. I don't know what money means in this game. I didn't even realize there was money, but I guess it means something.
You learn with money. So I guess you gotta buy some online classes with your cash.
And you just sign up for
You got
Skillshare.
this spy game where you have to go on Udemy and look up tutorials.
See a bunch of Skillshare ads everywhere.
In order to continue this level, you have to get on the Nebula.
Actually, that sounds like it would be a very fun game, like a immersive simulation where you have some kind of like bot or droid with you that can learn skills through can perform skills from Skillshare, but you have to pay money for them.
That would, you know, what would be really crummy about that though is that gamers would complain way harder about that than they have ever complained about microtransactions in a normal game. Like, they would hate that concept so much because they're like, you gotta spend money for everything, what the fuck? And meanwhile, you know, they have no problem dropping a $200 in a fucking first-person shooter.
It would almost be fun to make that game just to upset people, though. If I knew how to program, that's going on the list for 10 years from now.
Like, legitimately, it sounds like an interesting concept of, here, give me your money, in a video game. So like, at least there's that.
I mean, these games are always, and cities in these games too now are always about, it's got a divergent economy where you could buy fucking health potions or keys to the dungeon. It's never anything interesting or fun or useful.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like an emote?
Yeah,
No, I wouldn't. I would actually not like that at all. Thank you.
let me do something cool, like use all of my hard-earned in-game currency to buy, like, one round of aimbot in PvP.
That honestly sounds like a really compelling idea of just a game that all of the only thing you can do if you're in game money is just break the game in various ways. I feel like there was some game that tried to do this. Can't remember off the top of my head, but something that was like multiplayer, but just kind of about breaking the game in various ways to fuck each other over in varying to varying degrees.
I mean, I definitely would pay money for cheat code DLC that I could employ in multiplayer that would fuck someone else's day up.
Like, these games are mostly like stacked in a way that favors people who have either time or money to spend on them. And I
Right.
mean, those are both essentially the same thing, because if you have if you're working a job or you have lots of money, you probably have a lot of free time to spend on video games. You might as well just open the door, like, yeah, let me buy big head mode so I can get critical damage on anybody I shoot at in Destiny PvP, whatever.
Why did games stop
That's
having
true.
big head mode? I feel like it's been at least a decade since I've played a game with big head mode.
When was the last time you played a game with real cheat codes?
Oh fuck, probably Tony Hawk. One of the Tony Hawks, for sure.
Did one of the New Blood games have big head mode? I feel like they would. It'd be on brand.
I think maybe like Uncharted 3 or 4 did.
Yeah, because a lot of the last one I can remember playing is like Jax 3, because they had like a bunch of just ways to fuck up your character model with unlockable stuff.
Now that I think about it, didn't GTA, was it 3 or 4, have cheat codes?
Better have. It's fucking Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, like I swear to God, like there's codes you can enter to like obviously be invincible and have infinite ammo, but like also I think just like fly like Superman. Uh I'm probably wrong on that. I have not seriously played that game in a decade at least.
I haven't played a GTA in a very long time. Open world games stress me out.
Mm-hmm. I have yet to ever play a GTA, and have very little interest in doing so.
I mean, there's so much to do and at the same time literally nothing to fucking do.
I feel like the stuff that I enjoy from a GTA is just having a game where I can fly planes in a kind of arcadey way, but not actually have to kill anybody.
The last one I played was San Andreas, and I stuck with San Andreas for so long because the city feels alive, full of culture. It's interesting to drive around. There's always interesting things to see as you go from one mission to the next. And it's just filled with stuff to do that either impacts the story directly or impacts what you're doing in the game directly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a whole subset of that game that is, if I remember correctly, just buying cars with ridiculously upsetting shocks to take place in, like, 90s southern Los Angeles, like, car shock tuner culture.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, that sounds right. But again, it's been fucking forever.
Yeah. I have a friend who's a very big rock star head, and we're constantly at each other's throats because I've sometimes implied that the entire game of Grand Theft Auto 4 is just hearing the phone call. Hey, Nico, it's your cousin Roman. You want to go bowling?
Fuck.
You're doing really, really good at this game, by the way.
I'm just going very slowly and opening doors. I'm very confused. I need to like take this plant out of this chip out of my arm. I have no idea how to accomplish that.
That's kind of where another reason I bounced off is the game sticks so hard to the lo-fi aesthetic that you can't tell where you are in a facility.
Mm-hmm.
So you never know you never know if you're like going the right way.
Eventually, you might figure it out, depending on how big or small this facility is.
Yeah,
But it never feels like a success in Neon Struct when you like find the right AC ventilation duct or anything to take you somewhere, because you spill out into a room that's visually identical to every other place. There's nothing signifying whether or not you're any closer to the objective.
Right. It's like, did I just get turned around in the vent? Am I back in the same fucking room that I was in?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is one thing that I do appreciate about Dishonored is the period where, at least what I can remember of it, it's been years since I played it, but I remember there being several missions where you basically would like be on the outside of a building and would be just walking around looking at the building and then find your way inside and you're like, okay, I kind of understand what this building is because I've been looking at it from the outside. Like the geometry makes sense.
It builds like a visual context for what's at on the inside by letting you see all of the different places in and out of it very easily with teleportation and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas every level in this looks like the weird ice cube blocks that would be in action figure toy commercials in the 90s that I could never figure out where to buy.
God. Such a specific pull, but... Oh, fuck.
I feel like it's a specific poll, but everybody here understood.
I am amazed. I've been watching all these Sudoku videos on YouTube, and for some reason, they think that these are like kids' videos or something, because they keep giving me toy ads. And I am amazed that they are almost identical to the toy ads I would have watched like 20 years ago as a kid. Like the same exact format, the same camera angles, the same weird kids that are clearly not playing with toys because nobody plays with them like that. It's incredible how just completely identical they are. It really blows my mind because I could have sworn that those sorts of toys and commercials did not exist anymore. But
well, there are no, at least if you go to like your local Walmart or Target or anything, there are no toys anymore that are not based on a pre-existing property.
right. Except for all the mystery eggs.
No, except for the mystery eggs, but you can also get like Roblox, Halo, you friggin' name it, mystery eggs too.
Oh right, yeah. They have lots of Kirby mystery eggs, which I hate that I like Kirby enough that I'm just mildly intrigued by them.
I mean, I might have a Batman or two on my computer desk. There's nothing that's quite as fun as playing with a very well-made action figure.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, everybody just plays video games now, so...
Yep.
Fortnite, I think, is the closest thing to action figures that exists today.
Fuck. I don't think you're wrong. I do find that wild.
Well, that's
Like-
kind of where it was always going, I think.
Just like particular seasons or like different themed like action figure sets and things like that. There is somebody did I don't know if this is like official DC. No, it was recently where it's the tie-in to Batman showing up in the Fortnite universe. He's lost his memory and he can't speak, and he still has to try to figure out what's going on. And
He does sign
I
language
remember
with Snake
that.
Eyes from the GI Joes.
yeah,
It's fucking incredible, honestly. That's the
That's
most.
that is action figures.
that's action figures. That's straight up just like 5 to 10 years old playing with
Yeah.
action figures.
You tell your parent you want the ninja figure, and then they bring you back action Batman, and you're like, fuck.
Well, I mean, I guess. Right. Damn, this is... Or, like, the increasingly abortive trips to Toys R Us, where it's like... more and more you're realizing that the shit that you see on, like, Nickelodeon or whatever just isn't in Toys R Us anymore.
Mhm.
As that
Yeah.
store starts to, like, steadily decline. Speaking of action figures, this is kind of a tangent, but it's something I've been thinking about since I retweeted Keen Mar earlier this morning. Like the video footage of grown ass adults rushing to the specific like smokers aisle at Target to buy up all the Pokemon cards fucking is bodying me. Like I'm just imagining sweaty ass adults running into Target and buying up a bunch of action figures and a bunch of like trading cards and shit, and then just watching this like 7-year-old come in and just be really upset. Like, why are we like collectively like this? Is the question.
That capitalism death drive, baby.
I guess it's like
I only
Fuck.
feel alive when I'm with my Funko Pops.
We're gonna run out of this thing soon, and you're never gonna be able to touch it again.
right. It's the same concept with Nintendo tying a literal quality of life feature to an amiibo in Skyward Sword in the remaster
Well-
that's coming in.
Well, if you
I didn't
don't
even
buy
know-
the cards, did the franchise that gave you so many good memories really mean anything to you?
Yes. Yes, 100%. Like, even in jokes, I can't be like, no.
But that seems like so much of the emotional crux for it is like we're gonna turn
Yeah.
this pop culture thing into a limited resource. If it means anything to you or it ever really meant anything to you, you should buy all of them.
Oh, fuck, man.
Yeah.
That is just bleak as hell.
Well, it was the same thing. This is more like comic books bleeding into video games, but comic books did the same thing with limited release covers in the 90s.
Mm-hmm. And just like considering like how crummy the comic distribution market is, like to an extent they still try to do that even though it's not as
Oh, they still
effective.
absolutely try. They try to get you to buy the floppies, even though literally every big superhero comic company writes their storylines only to be collected in trades.
Exactly. God. I think it was Space Twinks on Twitter who recently did a thread of like why manga is a superior form of comics. It's like because any crossovers happen in a very specific like book. They don't happen outside of the book. The storyline is clear and easy to read as opposed to getting reset every like 8 months by the one of the big two. It's not completely dependent on pre-orders in order
Not cool.
to like keep uh, a particular comic running. Like specifically, what Space Twinks brought up was Kelly Sue DeConnick's Captain Marvel run and the um, Sana Amanat and I can't remember the author's name. The Miss Marvel run from like 2013 to 2015 or whatever. How they had specific, like they were specific, like kind of lightning in a bottle moments, and DeConnick even did all the marketing herself, and then tried to get Marvel to be like, "Hey, would you like to do this? Would you like to do your marketing like this? Because you'd probably sell more comics if you did." And them just going, "No, we're gonna stick with the shitty distribution model that we currently have," and completely ruin life for
Well,
everybody forever.
Marvel. Well, I mean, Marvel hasn't been a comic company since the first Iron Man movie released. Neither has DC
No.
since Batman Begins came out.
There's basically just entertainment companies with a comic division.
They're branding companies.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm definitely of the opinion, as much as I love American superhero comics, that none of the characters have meant anything in probably 30 to 40 years. But that's like you said, and it's like Space Twink said, it's weird, absurd crossovers all the time. It's big event comics. It's constant reboots and rehashes to try and get back to the roots of the character, even though the roots
Right.
were never as well defined as any of these companies think they were.
Right, like when Marvel or DC says, "Let's get back to brass tacks with fucking Batman or Wolverine," it's like, okay, what does that mean? Like, define brass tacks, define the essence of this character, and why any of that is going to matter in 6 months when you do this again.
And it always ends up happening. Like every couple of years, someone will come along and write a storyline that's like critically acclaimed. They understand what makes the character work. They set up a new status quo, and then every comic company cancels it right before it wraps up its last story arc.
100%. And they'll do it too, where it's like, we're gonna go ahead and just introduce this world-ending event. The universe, the multiverse, has collapsed once again. Congratulations, everybody's back to zero. Dr. Manhattan was behind the MacGuffin all along.
Yeah, I've never read comics, so I have no context for this. But I will. I will.
Come on, read comics with me. Come on, we can read some comics together.
I will say in the in the camp of manga is better. I have read manga before and enjoyed it. I have tried on a few occasions to read comics and felt I was just staring at a wall and could not I feel like I was just existing in another plane and could not understand what people were enjoying. I feel like I got in too late.
I always tell people not to read superhero comics if they're interested in reading comics the first time.
I've tried
Right.
I've tried like just sort of indie anthology stuff too, and just I don't know. I have enjoyed webcomics. I don't know if those even count as comics. That's like a whole different.
Webcomics count. I was just about to say something that was a huge bummer for myself, but
Oh shit.
but I definitely get the feeling of bouncing hard off of so many indie comics when you want to get into them. It's happened to so many people I know who are like, well, I don't want to read this superhero shit. I guess I'm going to go read some like Fantagraphics thing. And then it just so happens to coincide with one of those months. I think it happens about 12 times a year that Fantagraphics publishes probably the absolute worst comic anyone's ever read.
And of course, that's the one the newbie always gets.
Yeah, because it's hot on the newsstands. It's from some critically acclaimed fucking young adult fiction author.
Oh my god.
This explains so much, honestly.
And then, just sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh no, you're good. I was gonna say, yeah, this is exactly the approach I get where I'm just like, I don't really care about superheroes. This book has like an artsy cover, and it has like a New York Times review quote on it. Maybe I'll like this one.
New York Times best-selling comic, The Adventure Zone by Griffin McElroy.
Christ.
Well, a superhero comics have been stuck in an emotional dark age for the last probably decade.
Yeah.
You get bits and pieces everyone, because I absolutely think superhero comics in particular right now are in a dark age that's just as bad as it was in the 90s. But the dark age now is like children's entertainment for adults that has to wrestle with real emotional like issues on a deep level
Mm-hmm.
for people who don't want to grow up.
I think that's legit, and it speaks to why a comic like In Real Life by Cory Doctorow, I can't remember the artist's name, but he's a quote-unquote young adult author, even though he's mostly just a guy who's concerned about civil liberties and digital rights on the internet.
Jen Wang. I think Jen Wang.
Jen Wang, yeah, exactly. Why that comic it does fine, but it doesn't like blow shit up, whereas what you're talking about was like generic, comic for kids who refuse to grow up after 30. Touching on deep emotional things.
Yeah.
Like In Real Life is about fucking gold farming in MMOs, which is legitimately a dope thing to make a comic about. And like the actual struggles that a gold miner or a gold farmer would go through. Whereas, it's kind of just like vapid nonsense a lot of the time.
Well, it's got to be, they have to have their serious emotional or political issues and their dragons at the same time.
Right. And it's just really trite. No, I think manga, like, it does a lot to like really ease you on board. Like, you have one origin story for all of the characters. If you want to know where these characters come from, you go back to essentially issue 1 and you just read forward until you finish.
Incredible. Just like
it's fucking wild.
I don't have to look at a wiki flowchart to understand the continuity.
I mean, you still might for the biggest ones, but like that's just because they're thousands of chapters long.
My continuity rule is always just completely forget about continuity. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's legit.
They superhero they reboot stuff every few years, and then whatever writer liked the old stuff anyway will just introduce a bunch of references to it to immediately be dropped by the next person who takes over.
Mm-hmm. It's one artist, one writer.
Yeah, I think at this point Dick Grayson has alternated between being Romani and not being Romani like 100 times.
What the fuck? Oh, Jesus Christ. That's so bad.
But it's like, Daredevil has alternated between being a guy who goes to church every Sunday and not being a guy who goes to church every Sunday 100 times.
Devout Catholic and not devout Catholic.
Marvel will do a reboot and they'll relaunch Daredevil and they'll say we're going to get back to the Frank Miller brass tacks, and one storyline later, the next guy who takes over, the next woman who takes over, anybody who takes over will be like, actually, I like it this other way better. So this story is a reference to some fucking science fiction author who day traded as a comic book writer in the fucking late 80s for 2 weeks, wrote the character.
Good lord. This is a tribute to the time Robert Heinlein wrote a comic.
Yeah.
I'd be actually pretty terrified to read a Robert Heinlein written comic.
Robert Heinlein went to one of the same all-boys Catholic schools in the Southwest as two of the scientists who were on the Manhattan Project. There's your Southwest trivia for the day.
Fucking hell yeah.
I will say that Vodsel has brought up Ghost World in the chat, and I do remember that being one that I read and that did resonate with me. I mean, it's just a comic about sad girls in a small town, and you know that's the shit I go for. Apparently, I don't know if it holds up now. I don't know if there's things I would have problems with, but at the time I did enjoy it. But also, apparently it didn't stick with me enough to even register that I had read a comic. Instead, I just read this thing that I liked that happened to be a comic.
Usually how you get sucked into comic books, though.
I guess it was like I read it, and despite liking it, it did not make me want to read more comics. In fact, I would have just preferred it not be a comic, which might just be a personal preference, but...
I usually recommend people try and check out something like Love and Rockets, Hernandez Bros, or... Because it's like you'll get touches of science fiction and genre in there by an artist who mostly wants to draw people naked. And also very well. Clean, dynamic, eye-catching. But then you have stuff like... I will usually give somebody something fun that's fun to look at when they want to read comic books. Like, I'll pick up something by, like, James Sticco, who is, I think, a British artist. I don't know a lot about them on the, like, person-to-person side, but everything they draw is just layered with just color that just pops and detail, and everything looks organic, like it's filled with blood. Fantastic art style.
I have to check that out.
Because good, I have caught flack from friends I know as a writer, because I personally believe that comic books are writers can write good comic books, but comic books writing will only ever be improved by the art, but the art of a comic book can always be devalued by writing.
I feel like I would agree with that as someone who's read like 4 comics.
Comic books are not a writer's medium at all, and it is very upsetting to me that there are so many superstar comic writers, because you can essentially, like, if you're a comic writer for a company, this is, I mean, me stealing a quote from a friend, but it's a quote I really truly believe in. A comic writer can come up with an idea for a story, and then he tells it to the artist, and then they have to spend the next 12 months out of the year in their life working on it. So it's kind of, there's just, even labor-wise, there's just not a steady trade of labor effort.
Yeah, I was looking at a chart that I forget the organization, but basically like a writer's or like an artist, like, I don't know if it was a guild or a union, but they were basically collecting rates from a bunch of different artists about like what is like the high and low end of doing covers and artwork for these types of work, or these types of like stories and books and stuff. And comics were like vastly on the low end for art of every sort like
So why so many artists have switched to doing covers only that are fantastic interior artists. They can't pay their bills otherwise.
Right.
It was mind blowing to me.
Are you still in the same level looking to get the chip out of your arm?
I got the chip out, and I deleted the record, so now I'm tossing the chip away.
Gotta go to the furnace.
Yeah, I did that one. What else do I have to do? Board the train. Okay, so I think I've done everything now. It's just getting the chip out of me, because I have to do that first. And to do that, you have to like go inside the whole building to get to the like third floor. Both the buildings look the same.
Yeah.
All the floors look the same. All the rooms look the same, except one of them has a yellow table instead of a white gurney. So that's the one that you get to use. Turns out it's hard to make sense of the level like that, as you said.
It makes looking to and from the screen very confusing and kind of psychedelic because I can never tell exactly where you are.
There is something I enjoy about how this game feels kind of formless. Like, I've been playing this for, as we're talking now, this is one level for probably like 30 minutes now at least. I've basically not been paying any attention, or at least not any conscious attention, just kind of walking around and hitting buttons. Which is not what I would expect from this type of game.
It just, that's, like I said, I bounced off on the jail level because you're in these structures that look the same. You're looking for what you're supposed to do with like a vague idea in these giant labyrinths. It's not, it was not being fun to play. We're talking about Resident Evil now in the side chat, so
oh, I see that. Yeah.
If you people are only watching the TV or the computer screen, you're missing out on the little side chat over here. I did just link.
Scroll over and open the chat. Five pixels to the right.
Scroll over and open chat. I did just link a short Resident Evil based cop show pilot that somebody pitched to a network at one time, and it's very good, and everybody here should watch it.
Can confirm it does rule.
That sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, everybody should watch it.
Is it more like detective kind of stuff?
It's very down to earth and detective-y. If you get time, Nate, you should watch it. Watch it on stream, whatever you want to do. But it definitely would have been a TV show worth watching because Resident Evil is the best when you're solving weird, obtuse puzzles and scared, and Resident Evil is the worst when anytime someone is talking.
That sounds, well, yeah, that sounds roughly right. I enjoy the parts of Resident Evil that are very much not scary, but trying to be very serious. I always forget that the old ones opened with a FMV scene, which I find just delightful.
Resident Evil 1's FMV scene. People have found, people have tracked down all of those actors recently.
All right. Oh, this is 12 minutes. All right, yeah. So I'm switching over to take a gander at this proof of concept. It only has 92,000 views. That's surprising to me.
It's actually pretty good. I actually got to talk with the director. Sorry if I'm plugging this too hard.
Oh shit.
Yeah, unless you come out and you're just like, yeah, honestly, I'm writing for this Resident Evil cop show.
Asterisk, full disclosure, asterisk. Actually.
Alright, let's see. There we go.
Whether that's for something that was released already or that has not been released yet.
It got pitched in 2017, believe it or not, and the network decided to not go with it. But I hunted down the director on Twitter and I was just like, hey, you made this thing. It's very cool. I very much like it. And he was like, wow, nobody even has watched this in a while. Thank you. But it's very Resident Evil-y, I think.
I've played one Resident Evil. I've played Resident Evil 4, and I've played parts of most of the others. I have a very mangled understanding of what makes a Resident Evil a Resident Evil.
I've only played 5.
Barclays Suited Edition. But I feel like the guy who directed this, I feel like he did a good job of distilling the more like actual playing the game.
Mhm.
I feel like it would have a similar vibe to like the Condemned games. That like horror kind of detective story.
Yeah, I've wanted to go back to those. I don't know if they're available on PC or anything, and I don't feel like tracking down an Xbox, but
Let me by, Brenna. Not so sure.
the physicality of them is very intriguing to me.
This
Yeah.
is what you want to see.
They are on Windows. Oh, it's on Steam.
Oh,
The
nice.
combat's very, very visceral.
I can't pinpoint exactly what it is, but this looks like Resident Evil in a particular way. At least like the earlier ones I'm more familiar with.
That's what I liked about it when I watched this.
Where is he?
I was kind of blown away.
Jim, you shouldn't be here.
Where is he, Trace?
Jim?
Someone shot like a video game.
No, Jim, listen to me.
What?
You don't want to
Maybe.
see this.
Why didn't you call me?
You know why I didn't call you. You know what they would have done? Let me handle this. Okay? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. "15 minutes. But don't say I didn't try. No forced entry.
I think it's also the background details are very cluttered in every shot. They picked like a really bad McMansion to shoot this in.
I think it is
Destroyed his job.
the mansion. Like it's a very like fake classy Victorian style. Like the windows, something about the stained glass windows feels especially
Yeah.
Resident Evil.
Glock's registered in his name.
I was with him when he
This
bought
is
it.
the kind of place a guy who owns 6 car washes lives in.
Burglary doesn't look like a motive.
Canonically, most Resident Evil antagonists.
They all own car washes.
Or aspire to.
Find the other cigar.
What cigar?
Yeah, Oswald Spencer in the Resident Evil timeline shows up at the like Donald Trump conservative White House rally.
It's one thing to own a car wash, it's another thing to have unfulfilled dreams of owning a car wash.
They were party favors. Something he offered special guests.
Scotch.
Yeah, the cigar, it's a key.
Yeah, the pilot highlights on objects. It's
What
cool.
does that mean?
He's not a Scotch man. Only when he had company.
That was something that really struck me going back to play Luigi's Mansion. I was really amused at how much it took from early Resident Evils in like the way that you pick up items and like fiddle them around, and it's very close up but also detached in a way that stuff is just floating in
I
space.
just got promoted at Paradigm.
And
because
seeing
I
that
know
with like
Sam.
Nintendo stuff was just very
Only what I can prove.
very
Fuck what you can
amusing.
prove. This is my brother.
Did you know the family was out of town this weekend?
No.
Yeah. Ellie's not just graduating. She's touring one of the most expensive medical programs in the country.
She got in.
Last week.
It's also melodramatic, like every Resident
Dave was
Evil
on the
is.
hook for a
Mhm.
Are you aware that his former partner is suing him for $5 million?
What?
Look, you know, if it's not on the board, I can't play it. And right now,
$5 million.
nothing on the board says anything other than what this looks like. My hands are tied.
Hey, Nate, I've been meaning to ask, is there any way you could turn your voice up on Discord?
Oh yeah, let me.
'Cause I think your volume is good on the stream, but then Discord you're real quiet. Have you at like 200% volume?
Let me see. Voice and video.
There's like change gain or something.
Oh yeah, it is very low on here. Let's see. I think there's like a. I have to save. Oh! Lost my window. Oh.
It's going to be the CCTV
And I'll be pulling the feeds.
about Prince and the angle of the gun.
Jim, I know how to run a goddamn crime scene.
Is that any louder?
Yeah, that's way better.
Cool, yeah, I think I had like the gain control turned off or something.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good.
The weird paintings are also a nice touch.
I like the blocking in this short a lot.
Vic looks like David Michael Reinhardt. Yeah, the brother. We're gonna need forensics on this.
At 4 Lincoln Lane.
You got the candles. You gotta have the candles.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go hands off for the last stretch here.
Okay.
One of those little PSP games.
Some good makeup work.
Yeah, it is.
Was this actually pitched, or did they just upload this?
No, it turns out it was actually pitched.
They didn't go with that? What the heck? It's like horror and crime is like bread and butter.
Yeah, I'm very upset it didn't happen too, especially because, like I said in the chat, the Netflix show sounds really bad.
I didn't hear there was a Netflix show.
Are they also doing a movie, or is it just the show?
They've been
I
trying to
think Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say they've been trying to reboot those movies since the first one.
Hmm. I think with the Netflix stuff specifically, it's like they're trying to, like, I don't know, rehabilitate 5 and 6, but also make it future-ish somehow.
Well,
I'm reading the chat. Sorry.
No, it's what they're doing. It's like Wesker's children moved to Raccoon City in like the mid '90s or something.
Good lord. Everyone just like frantically screaming, "We don't need to do this. You don't need to bake this show." Oh shit, they can't hear us. They've got headphones on.
Christ. I completely forgot that Monster Hunter movie that's basically just a Resident Evil movie came out not too long ago.
But it's got Tony Jaa in it, and he did supervising on some of the choreography, or so I've heard. And it's actually very, very fun and kind of goofy and stupid.
Are you trying to tell me I should actually watch this?
It is the closest we've gotten to the tone of the '90s Mortal Kombat movie.
Fuck yeah. Which the new remake of the Mortal Kombat movie couldn't do.
He fights Goro in a barn in like Tennessee.
Wait, are we talking about the Monster Hunter movie, or are we talking about
Mortal Kombat.
the new... Okay. I think our wires are crossed a little bit. I thought we were talking about Monster Hunter. But no, that Mortal Kombat movie does look fun.
Or do some things.
Well,
They could-
I'm glad we got to watch that little short and to watch you play Neon Struct. I gotta bow out here, unfortunately.
Oh, that's alright. Thanks so much for hanging out. It's been a lot of fun ranting about comic books and immersive sims.
Yeah,
Later.
this has been a good time. Y'all have a good night. Let me know how it goes tomorrow. For anybody watching this, you can find me on deep-hell.com.
Yeah, go read their stuff. It's really good.
Yeah, it is. Take care, Skeleton.
See you later.
Cheers. Okay, so I'm switching over to Subnautica, which I've not played at all, but it's on my list because I like the ocean.
Ooh. Very neat.
Have either of you played the Subnautica?
No, the closest... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, you go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say the closest I've come to is In Other Waters by Gareth Damian Martin.
Right, that also looks
Which
good.
is...
Oh, yeah.
Like, tone-wise, I think these are kind of similar. So I'm kind of excited to see what this is all about. But I might actually need to go also, just for a bit. I might drop in a little bit later.
Alrighty, well, I will be here. So yeah, thanks as well for stopping by, and
Yeah, for sure. If anybody's watching hasn't donated, y'all can go to critical.com/Palestine and donate some monies to medical aid for Palestinians. You can find my work at noescapevg.com. And you can also see me on Twitter where I yell about stuff all the time at twitter.com/noescapevg. But support Nate, support Critical, and support medical aid for Palestinians. It's a good thing, and we should. I wish there was more than just donations that we could do, but unfortunately not. And y'all are doing a great thing right now.
Get to 500.
Thanks so much.
Hopefully we can get to 500.
Yeah,
I want to see y'all get over 500. That would be so dope.
that would be pretty good. But yeah, thanks so much for stopping by. It's been a lot of fun. Everyone should go read your work on No Escape. And yeah, hit the big button down below if you haven't donated yet. I made it very easy.
All right, bye.
See you later.